I tell you, I am chomping at the bit more and more every day to get on air and start covering the incredible developments. Because as fast as I can go over all these fast-moving stories that affect our world in such a big way, more is coming out really by the millisecond. Wikileaks has released more documents showing that Hillary Clinton was looking at going on Parkinson's medication. And another email has her saying, I quote, still don't feel great. And we've got more top scientists, more top neurologists going public saying Hillary clearly has serious neurological problems. The list is in the hundreds now. But that doesn't matter because she went on Jimmy Kimmel. And when she went on Jimmy Kimmel, ladies and gentlemen, he took her pulse and then she opened a glass container of pickles. So now everything is okay. She has proven to the world she can basically do anything. And so I walked over to the cupboard this morning when I saw this clip on Infowars.com, and I got out a container of pickles, and I thought, you know, pickles, the reason they're hard to open is they're vacuum sealed, and you don't turn it like a regular top. It just pops and you're done. It doesn't go around, but she goes around it. Oh, to open it, it's so hard, like she's undoing a corkscrew or pulling a cork out of a wine bottle. And that's why I think Mark Dice shot a video last night pointing out that it's clearly fake, and I totally agree with him. But they're faking Google numbers, they're faking polls. We've got stacks of news admitting that today. Why wouldn't they fake this? Remember, the architect of Obamacare, Gruber, working for Obama, said, thank God the public doesn't pay attention. It's so stupid. So she strains as she turns around the pickles. No one opens pickles that way. In fact, let me just show you how you open pickles, okay? You don't go, oh, I got to go in a big circle. Or you never open pickles in 85 million years this way, okay? You see that? Oh, and then it opens. No, you open it in one quick pop. Boop, it's done for TV viewers. Reminds me of Caddyshack when the character that Chevy Chase is playing has the hot blonde over to his house, and he doesn't have any fresh Perrier, so he pours 2 bottles together that are by a pizza box. I'm going to play this later, and puts the cap on top and walks over and goes, oh, boy, it just came right off. But now we have to scientifically show how this is staged. And by the way, Jimmy Fallon a few months ago, they've gone totally political. They always have been, but now it's so open, so brazen, so naked, so obvious, so over the top, so in your face, so arrogant towards their prey, you the American people, that he's like, yeah, I hear TPP. I hear you support that. You down with TPP? They got this great jazz band playing. Obama's back there all cool. And he goes, yeah, you know me. It's like saying, you down with having a foreign corporate takeover of America and shutting down even more jobs and screwing everybody? Just like you double black unemployment? Yeah, you know me. But see, it's okay because it's fun, it's cool, it's all completely scripted. Just like taking her pulse. But it's all entertainment, isn't it? So it's okay. 100% scripted. You don't open a can of pickles by going in a big circle around it and opening it. They won't open that way. That's why women famously can't open them, because their daddy didn't teach them how to do it. A woman can open a can easy. You just go boom, pop, boom, pop. You don't go, totally fake, caught red-handed. Hillary Clinton has been caught in more fraud, more corruption, more deception, more racketeering with her cohorts, her willing accomplices. No, I don't mean the $35 million Russia paid her foundation to give the Russian government 1/5 of the U.S. uranium stockpile. No, I'm not talking about her transferring when she was co-president in the mid-90s, the ICBM, Intercontinental Ballistic Missile technology, from top to bottom, from guidance to boost to symmetry to re-entry to MERV. No, I'm not talking about her arming al-Qaeda and ISIS and turning them loose in the Middle East with Saudi Arabia and being the founder of ISIS, as Donald Trump properly has called her. General Flynn has also basically said that, the former head of Defense Intelligence. No, I'm not talking about her going after our Second Amendment or helping get derivatives legalized in the mid-1990s with the usual suspects, people like Goldman Sachs and J.P. Morgan, individuals like Larry Summers, and then signing us on to all that debt that wasn't ours. No, I'm talking about what happened last night when she went on one of these mindless late-night entertainment shows, Jimmy Kimmel, and said that it's a conspiracy theory that she has any health problems. And then she basically had her pulse taken by Jimmy Kimmel, and then she opened a container of pickles. But she didn't really open the container of pickles, because we're going to prove at the bottom of the hour for TV viewers, we'll describe it for radio listeners, that that's not how you open a container of pickles. So I've got a whole bunch of containers of these. In an earlier segment, I already opened one and show people how you do it. But I'm going to show you the fraud blown up on video of her. And people say, oh, well, why does this matter? This is the type of thing that can capture the public's attention. They're like, oh, uranium to Russia. Oh, $100 million from Gulf states, you know, that execute gays and women for no reason. That's okay. But if she faked opening the glass container of pickles, folks, this is going to probably be a big deal for the general public. And I'm being serious. I'm not being facetious. But let's stop right there. We're going to have Roger Stone in studio today with us. Donald Trump is flying into Austin for a big rally in North Austin today. So who knows who'll be popping in, or who knows who we'll be interviewing tonight. On top of Stone to be in studio. I think his plane's getting in as we speak. And a lot more today. But before I go any further, before I even get into all these other big stacks of news, before I detail the latest jihad operations, I want to start with this stack, because this ties into everything. This is such an amazing stack. Reuters has a headline. And just this headline is an entire college course on deception. OSCE rights group requests 500 international observers to monitor U.S. presidential vote. And then it goes on because they believe there's going to be fraud. But not by Hillary, but by Trump, with no evidence of that. She's the one that just stole it from Bernie Sanders. He stopped the Republicans from stealing it from him. Now, the real headline should be UN EU directive, an organization to oversee U.S. elections. But see, they know that'll scare you and wake up people, because we've been warning of this forever. So they just say OSCE. That right there is the tactic. Then you read the Reuters article, the Organization for Security and Cooperation in Europe. That's the original group set up in the Marshall Plan that the UN was set up through. So this is the predecessor of that, to send 500 international observers to observe November U.S. presidential election, a tenfold increase from the number the group deployed in 2012, because they knew Romney'd take a dive. And then it goes on with what they say. Now, I thought Donald Trump's a total kook for saying there's a lot of evidence of election fraud. We need to investigate it and watch it. But now the Justice Department is the group giving them the federal authority to do this. And they announced last week, Jay Johnson, that he's going to put fivefold the federal observers to make sure illegals and others can vote. That's really what's happening. So they're coming in to make sure voter fraud can take place, the Democrats' specialty. Isn't that just darling? So, contradictions within contradictions. The UN, EU, Organization of Economic Cooperative Development that has this security treaty set up, security and cooperation in Europe. I mean, almost no one knows who all these groups and organizations are. I do. I've studied the globalist. So this is actually the original globalist organization that took over Europe after World War II to oversee our elections. This is beyond the UN. This is the group the Rockefellers and Rothschilds set up, and then they set up the UN after that. Global government. Now, let's continue. For 2 weeks, almost 3 weeks, we've been harping on the fact that there is no coverage in U.S. mainstream dinosaur, Decepticon, enemy, collaborator media, or what I should call discredited corporate media, 6% trust rate according to the Associated Press in their own international study or national study. But strangely enough, in Europe, it's gotten coverage. In the German news and the French news and the Russian news, the Italian news, and now the Jerusalem Post gets it completely right when it says this. What have I been harping on day after day? Our world, Jerusalem Post, Soros campaign of global chaos. The first thing we see is the megalomaniacal nature of Soros's philanthropic project. No corner of the globe is unaffected by his efforts. No policy area is left untouched. And then it goes through the emails. How to overthrow the U.S., how to overthrow Israel, how to overthrow Europe. This is so, and we have him, diabolical. And some people, because they've been conditioned by the press, will say, oh my gosh, Israel's bad, let's get Israel. Israel's a complex situation, and Israel's done some bad things, just like the U.S. has. But I'll tell you, I'll take Israel over George Soros any day, sweetheart. Israel's a diverse group. Soros is a Nazi collaborator, literal demon. But the point is, forget Israel. Forget the U.S. George Soros's emails are public for almost, what is it, 16 days. Thousands of them. How they're bringing in the Muslims to overthrow things. How they're destabilizing. It's all there. Arrest him. And even the Jerusalem Post comes out. If I have time later in the third hour, I'm going to read this whole article. But I've got hundreds, so I've got to move. UN to run our elections with Justice Department power and under strong cities, I'm getting chills, to oversee our police departments. That's Loretta Lynch saying that, not me. We are so conquered. But if we admit we've been taken over, it will implode. It's illegitimate. What do they call in the North American Union documents in 2008 from Banff, Canada, when Judicial Watch sued and got them? What did they call it? They called it North American Integration and Global Governance by Stealth. What does stealth need? To be stealth. If it's not stealth, it crashes and burns. Oh, we're going to beat these people. And by the way, it's not the Russians hacking Soros. I can tell you that. I've confirmed from high-level sources that it's U.S. agencies. Absolutely. Wake up, save the country. We can defeat these people bloodlessly by exposing their crimes. Let's keep hitting them and hitting them hard. I salute the folks inside the government doing this. Hit them and hit them hard. Hit all of them. But notice the whole world's hitting Soros. Everybody knows who the enemy is. Worldwide concern over too many immigrants, study shows. Yahoo News. But that's okay. Paris tourism chief demands rescue plan as attacks scare off visitors. And they basically lost half their tourism last year. But don't worry, Daily Mail has the quote, and there's a video. But it's in Parlez-vous français. Borders are the worst invention ever, close quote. EU chief Jean-Claude Juncker. Look into the Juncker family, folks. Widens rift with European leaders as he calls for open borders. That's like saying doors on your house are the worst invention ever, or privacy is the worst invention ever, or having a safe is the worst invention ever. If we didn't have borders, Genghis Khan would rule the world today, or his offspring would, or Hitler. I mean, what are they talking about? A bad guy takes over one country, other countries can organize against it. But under a global government, you can't do that. You're under one system. So the people are like, we're panicking. They're murdering us. 5 million have poured in. They're killing people. They're burning vehicles. They're robbing. They're raping. And he's just like, we're getting rid of it. EU boss sparks border outrage. Juncker slammed over beyond parity. Checkpoint madness. But don't worry, Sarkozy announces a bid for 2017. He's the guy that helped get rid of their borders. 8 Facebook users indicted for mocking. Gotta love that. But before I get into all this other news, massive censorship in Europe against anybody criticizing this. This is how they're conquering the planet. And the head of the UN Borders and Migrants Council is actually the founder of the EU. And he is openly admitting it is to bring down the West. And then we've got the clip we played yesterday of Vice President Biden saying, yes, white people are bad. We've got to get rid of them. I mean, this is crazy. Yeah, my mama didn't tell me don't play with guns. She told me, always clean your guns. And don't point a gun at something unless you're planning to pull a trigger. All right, that's Johnny Cash bringing us in. Donald Trump's going to be speaking tonight, 7 o'clock at the Travis County Expo Center in North Austin. The venue holds, I think, about 20,000 people. And we're going to have our crew inside. We're going to have our crew outside. The communists are going to be up there. I'm told the same ones that came out and tried to physically attack us. It was like retarded zombies, you see in movies. They weren't very effective. So we're all going to be out there this evening. And if Trump isn't on the show today, he'll be on the show Friday. But I'm just going to leave it at that. Roger Stone's plane is delayed. Just took off from Dallas, where he was flying in from Florida. And so he should be here by the middle of the broadcast in about an hour for the balance of the transmission today. Okay, where to start, where to begin getting into all of this news that I haven't covered yet, which is the majority of it. You have to understand, when I just covered Reuters with the corporation and organization that founded the UN saying it's going to oversee our elections, that is so huge. And they're doing it at tenfold what they did in 2012. So see, this is an escalation. And I can play the clips of Loretta Lynch in the press conference 6 months ago saying, under strong cities, we will follow the UN, UNESCO treaties, which we haven't ratified, on policing, on small arms, all of it, and they will tell the review boards and recommend to the Justice Department what to do in your town. She said the UN will give us our orders. Remember Obama a few years ago in Syria? He said, I'm going to act alone outside of Congress. I have the authority of the United Nations, even though he didn't have the authority. Then he said, well, now, because the UN wouldn't even go along with it because Russia vetoed it, he went further and he said, okay, I have the authority of NATO. That is a consortium of North Atlantic countries, the U.S. comprising half its force and funding. This is open world government, people, where our politicians get bought off. They sign us over to the TPP, the UN, the World Trade Organization, the IMF, the World Bank, all run by the same 100 or so people. You look at who runs the CFR, who runs the IMF, who runs the World Bank, who runs the International Bank of Settlements, who runs the OECD, who runs the OSCE. It's 100 people or less. And, of course, who is one of the masters that would always organize all those people? Henry Kissinger. And it's why Hillary Clinton's gotten up in speeches. And it's why General Jones, former chairman of the Joint Chiefs, and then former National Security Council head, have gone on TV and in print journals and said, I get my orders from Henry Kissinger and the Council on Foreign Relations every day. Those are quotes by both of them to rub your nose in it. Remember when Obama violated Article 1, Section 9 of the Constitution and worked at the United Nations as the Secretary General for a time? And then when he sat in and chaired the Security Council for one rotation, less than a year, but it was almost a year. You can go into all the details of it. This is open world government in your face. They are practicing it. They are exercising it. They are engaging in it in front of you. And again, it's not like they're bringing in some Star Trek lovey-dove UN world government thing, kumbaya. It's to carry out deindustrialization. It's to carry out austerity. It's to carry out the eugenics endgame. World government's a means to an end. Now, I'm going to stop there. Coming up, because it's illustrative of their fraud, we're going to prove that Hillary Clinton didn't really open that container of pickles on Jimmy Kimmel. And then we're going to show some of the other political stunts that late-night TV is involved in for this crime cartel. Then I'm going to get into forced inoculations in the United States, now official. We're going to get into the fact they're not letting any Christian refugees into the U.S. We're going to get into the latest on Hillary's health. That ties into all this. We're going to get into the latest on the Clinton Foundation, the economy, and a lot more. I'm Alex Jones. This is a very important broadcast. Everybody can listen at Infowars.com/show or see the video feed or on stations across the country. We're selling a product, DNA Force, that is the very best nutraceutical that we can produce. Dr. Group, you took years for you to develop DNA Force for us.
It's been something that I've been working on for a long time, Alex, because I think it's very, very important. What the aging process is when the cell replicates, we lose a little bit of our telomeres. Telomeres are the little cups on the end of our chromosomes.
And when it runs out, you start dying.
We chose the PQQ because it has over 175 different clinical trials. It's one of the most effective substances in the world. It works like an antioxidant. It works to repair nerve growth factor.
So this is a formula to deliver the maximum amount. It's in powder form.
We have so many 5-star reviews. I take this. This is the product that I take.
Infowarslife.com, and the profit we make. We fight the globals. We fight the New World Order. Secure your DNA Force today at Infowarslife.com or call toll-free 888-253-3139.